Hey, welcome back to the Spiritual Underground podcast. I am your host, Dan Reeves. If you're not coming back today, maybe this is the first time you landed here. I'll let you know that this was my foundation of like what I would say waking up came about through the 12-step communities. That kind of opened the door, springboard for me. And a lot of the content on the Spiritual Underground podcast is 12-step related. It has seemed that the universe has changed the trajectory a little bit, and I have all these wonderful people that I basically just classify. You've heard it 100 times if you've been here before. Forces for the good, people shining their light, and I love that because as I get to talk to them, their light shines on me today, and I'm better off for that at the end of the podcast too. It's a frequency raising activity for me. So go back if you're really interested in 12-step stuff. There's a lot of content on that in the past, and just check it out. I'm sure you'll find some things you relate to. Today, my guest is Lisa Sander, and I did a little. I really do very little like prep on these things too. I try to keep this as like being fun and a hobby, not so much work. And uh, and I've said this too that I'll let my guest tell us who they are rather than me try to do some kind of introduction. I do watch some podcasts where they will introduce the guest and there will be a 5-minute list of everything this person does. And
Mhm.
I'm frankly scared to death to do that. I'll leave something out. I'll be wrong. Uh, and my guests are their subject matter experts. So it just doesn't seem like something that needs to be done. So welcome to the show, Lisa.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for having me, Dan. Do you want me to introduce myself?
Sure.
Okay. So my name is Lisa Sander. You can reach me at lisasander.com. I have a podcast also, Our Healer, Our Protector with Ryan Reichert. And I believe you've met Ryan.
Yes, I just talked to Ryan Friday.
Yes, he is my amazing partner. And really, we came together. I asked him one day, hey, would you want to do a podcast with me? And he's like, on what? And I'm like, I just want to inspire other people. And I've always had this calling. And we both come from a divorce, long marriages, over 24 years. Very proud of that. And I'm like, I want to do a podcast on divorce for Christian people, to let people know that it's okay and God will always be there for us. And we need a support group.
Mm.
So, saying that, I've also been a nurse for 26 years. Love it. I just got done working 40 hours in 3 days at the hospital this weekend. So I am like, woohoo, I'm ready to go, Dan. Oh,
I must
I'm
attract nurses somehow. 'Cause my mother was a longtime nurse and was actually the director of
Oh,
local college here, the director of the nursing program for many, many years. So,
awesome.
and then my my kid's mom is the nurse and has been for a long, long time. My sister-in-law is a nurse. I have really good friends that are nurses. It's just like I'm surrounded by nurses. Maybe there's just a lot of them, but no, I think actually at some level that's something that I attract, manifest close to my life. Maybe I need that, nurses
Well, we're
nearby.
very caring and nurturing people and um, very open and in tuned, and listen from our gut. So maybe do attract those kind of people if you're needing a force of nature of goodness towards you to help you out. So
Yeah.
yes, come
Growing
from
up,
big hearts.
I was accident prone, and I was always in the emergency room for cuts and broken bones and various things, and of course the other childhood stuff that comes along, tonsils and blah blah
Yeah.
blah. But it would always be they would look at the name and they go, "Are you Donna's son?" My mother, because they had so many of them had been through my mom's program. It
Yeah.
sometimes would change the energy in our interactions. Like they thought, I better not mess this one up. My teacher's son is in the room.
Yeah.
It was fun. So
Yeah. So
yeah, I really love talking to Ryan, and I had no idea that you two had a connection in this department. I also, obviously, as I said, my kid's mother was married for 17 years, but we were together for 25, and about a decade ago that came to an end, and it is a really tough thing. It's honestly the hardest thing I've ever gone through. I've lost loved ones that weren't as devastating to me as what getting divorced did to me, and I felt
Yeah,
alone.
yes, divorce is, that's why I wanted to start the podcast, because I didn't want people to be alone. And I wanted to inspire them. Um, and some marriages don't last very long, and some last like half your lifetime. And you should be very proud of that, because marriage is really hard and it takes a lot. And me being the firstborn and the first born granddaughter on one side, I've always carried a lot on my shoulders and a lot of pride in um, to do things right. So when I decided to get a divorce, that is not something that people take lightly. Um, Death is easier than a divorce. I really do believe that in my heart of heart. Because you'll never have the answers that you want with that person alive. Um, for both parties, for me and my former spouse.
Yeah,
So, which I respect my former spouse. He's an amazing dad. I always say that. And we wish each other the best and happiness. And I am grateful because I have that relationship with him. So that's what I want to help and inspire people to have that healthy relationship. And obviously it does not work for all. I'm just going by my situation, and Ryan has a different situation, but still working towards the healing part. So, yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
but there
yeah.
is hope.
I'm thankful that we are also, on good terms. It was rough for a few years, and probably more on me than I mean, my being the cause of that, because I really had tough time coming to terms with it. But we did co-parent well, and we still are. We never were adversarial, and I'm very, very grateful for that because I witnessed that a lot in 12-step communities. That dope and the booze busts up relationships like nothing else,
Yeah.
and the adversarial end of it is just heartbreaking, especially for when children are involved. I can't imagine.
Yeah, it's hard on, and I'm so glad that you talk about the 12 step, because the 12, um, I'm not an alcoholic. But I've had alcoholics in my family on both sides. A lot of people are touched by that. But the 12 step is actually important, not only for alcoholics, or it could be used for a lot of people.
Yeah,
It's an amazing thing. And just being open and honest and real with yourself and taking accountability and letting God in is, you can do so many things with that, and you get to start over.
yeah, you do. And specifically, 12-step programs are a thing of second, third, fourth, fifth chances. There's never you get to start over with a clean slate. And I suppose we do in life in general, but it's hard to I look at a lot of things that were almost needed somebody to give me permission to get the second chance or to do the things, because of, for whatever reason, I didn't think and that's part of the stuff happening in early childhood. We talk about that a lot, about how you were raised. You talk about being the firstborn and
Born,
first
just
granddaughter at the
grandchild.
same time, grandchild at the same time,
Yeah.
and it's funny that like will place energy on you that you carry. And I guess, at some level, there was a whole lot of me growing up until I worked the 12 steps and started to practicing these principles that felt like I didn't deserve it, that I was somehow outside and the second chance thing, and I'm not deserving of another chance. I've already burned the bridge and it's just false thinking. There's so much,
Oh, absolutely.
this thing is a beautiful thing, this brain we have, but it also can work at cross purposes at times, and mine is a good one at trying to trick me into thinking things aren't the way they are.
That's why I love talking to you, Dan, and other people. I like to bring light to that. Um, I I've always had a faith in God, so even through my troubled times, and I've always had faith and saw the light. And I know that is not like for you and other people, that's not always been that way. But that's what I want to do for people. I want to give them that positivity, and God forgives our sins, and we do get to start over. Who did God go to in the Bible? He went to the people that were not doing good in life. And that's who he gravitated to. And the light that they showed later on in the Bible was amazing. And it's all in having someone believe in you. And that's what I want to do for people. I want to help believe in them. Being a nurse and having 26 years of experience and having different, we all have different people in our lives in our family. And I did devotions with my kids growing up, and one of the devotions, my son Jack, who's 24 and who graduated in nursing, also he'll never forget this because um, myself and his sister would frustrate him at times. I'm like, God brings us into your life to prepare you for the future. Um, that is one thing that I would love to let people know. Um, every encounter that you have, good or bad, it's all to make you stronger and better. And at the time, it sucks and it doesn't feel fair. But I always looked at things as okay, this is my chance. This is my chance to open up my eyes and go through another door. Because if there's a door shut on you, oh my gosh, if we could just stop forcing that door to be open, um, and know that there's a light on the other side and God will show you the path and bringing the right people in your life. Dan, as you know, probably as a recovering alcoholic, like you need to change up who you hang with sometimes
Hmm.
because you want to make people, you need people to inspire you. So, I feel as though I've inspired a lot of people in my life. And even at 52, I've had to change, and I have changed in who I put myself with. I have amazing friends since junior high. They will always be my core. But if you would have asked me 4 years ago, 5 years ago, I'd been like, I don't need any new friends. I have my friends. I don't even have time to put the energy into all of them. But after going through COVID, and going through all the deaths that I went through, doing CPR every single day and watching people die. In the back of my head, it was this little whisper that kept on saying, you need to do stuff now. Don't wait till you retire. If you wait till you retire, you're going to be in bed like some of these people that never took the chance at 40 or 50 and experience life. Because some people are like, oh, I got to work, work, work. And then, oh, let's start traveling at 70, 75. Well, guess what? Your body isn't ready. You should have been doing it at 40 or 50 so you keep getting ready and stronger and seeing that light. So COVID hit and my whole life changed. Um, Unfortunately, I did get a divorce, um, but I started traveling and I climbed my first mountain.
Mm.
And I'll tell you something, I climbed Flatiron in Arizona. It was the most amazing and hardest experience I've ever had. It took us 5 hours, had no clue what this mountain entailed. Just like our life, we have no clue what this life is going to entail, right? We can do anything, it's mind over matter. I climbed that mountain. I went through every emotion. I cried. I laughed so hard I almost peed my pants. I'm like, I can't pee my pants on this mountain because I was with two other girlfriends. And the strength it took for me, the girls went ahead of me and I sat at this one position. I didn't know where to put my feet. And I'm like, God, I don't know if I can get up this next section. Out of nowhere, this is not a mountain that you see. It's I did camelback and there's tons of people passing you back and forth. On Flatiron, there is not. And this guy out of nowhere put his hand out to me and he's like, do you want me to help you with your steps? And I said, yes, I
Mm.
do. And he got me up that next section and he was gone. And I'm telling you, that was a God moment. And I was so blessed and I made it. And after that mountain, my life changed also. COVID, the mountain, and now I'm super excited because I'm doing this podcast and Ryan and I became part of the mission project. And this is where I talk about changing who you hang with. never met these people. We took a chance and we are with Eric Rock. And I can't even tell you the people that are inspiring me in my life to move up higher and to make a difference in other people's lives and to have that for myself. Like, I think I'm with a group. We go traveling every 3 months together to different destinations and make an impact in that community. We do something for somebody.
Mm,
Um, we went to Malibu, and Malibu was the year of the a year after the fires of the devastation in Malibu, and Eric went around and asked the people of the community to vote for their heroes. So we had different heroes. We had a concert, and we Eric handed out awards. There's a dream center in Malibu, and a pastor runs it, and he actually named his next section the Mission Project. We raised money for people and the Dream Center because everyone comes to the Dream Center, whatever you may need, clothes, food,
mm.
need help financially. The Dream Center helps people. So, yeah, so my goal in life, my second half of life, is to inspire others, experience everything I can so I can help people experience that. And being a coach, like I am your person. If I feel like we're not a good fit, guess what? I'm gonna refer you to someone. I mostly do women, and I refer if men come, I refer them to Ryan because I think it's so important, Dan, as you might know, talking to other men and that have been in different situations is so important. Yes, it's good for women and men to talk, but men need more men in their lives because I don't think men open up as much as women do. And you could probably speak to that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, my men's group, and it was kind of funny because I joke around about the early recovery kind of things, and a guy had invited me to a men's meeting, and it just didn't really make sense to me. It's like, why would I want to go where there's no women? Why would I want to do that? And
Yeah.
plugging into that, and then watching other men be vulnerable and share things, again, kind of that permission thing, gave me permission
Hmm.
to learn to do that, and a real tight knit group of men that really support each other, and and we do things, and all there's a we do there's one friend of mine who has coordinated, I guess this year maybe will be the seventh year in a row where they go to Colorado and they could go up a mountain. And they're
That is so
they're
awesome.
elk hunting primarily. And one year I joined them. I've been there twice with them. It's just not something I can do every year. And also I like want to go to different places and they go to the same place, but that's cool too. Uh, but the same kind of thing. I'd never done anything like I thought I'd done some hard things, but we started off at some place, I don't know, like about 8,000 feet, and the top of that mountain was about 4,000 feet more, about 12,000 feet. And it took
Mhm.
all day to get there. It took all day, and I was done. I mean, like, and I didn't think I was going to make it, and you get into that
Mhm.
dynamic where you have supporting each other, and waiting. Yeah, let's just rest for a little bit. It's okay. Let's just rest for a little while. All right, let's get going. Let's put one foot in front of another. And there's a picture of me my buddy took because when we got up to the top of it, I stripped my backpack off and I think I laid on my back for an hour. I was just done and like for a whole day was done. But that also is parallel to, life having hard things that you push through and you can do it. And, and, and as you pile up that evidence of going through hard things, a divorce, a death of a loved one, maybe a job change or climbing a mountain, and you start building this evidence up that you can see, gives you that strength to look at the next thing and like the door opening thing. I do firmly live with a thought that when a door is closing on me, that just means I need to keep an eye open for the open one, that the next one is coming. And it's so much better to move through life like that, to have that optimism that I can, at some level, I'm undefeated and I'll continue to be in a sense, that I can go to the next thing. And there's a lot out there, men don't have men friends much anymore. There's
No.
I don't experience that myself because of this wonderful thing that I stumbled into, but I
Hmm.
do know a lot of people who, and you see it on the podcasts and this kinds of thing, is of not having close male friends that you can actually, that's more than just surface level friends, more than just football or whatever, not that there's anything wrong.
Yeah, you need the deep talks. You want to know that men feel the same way as each other. So you give permission um, to let your guard down a little bit and be vulnerable to help lift each other up and say, "Hey, I've been through that too," or "This is how I feel." Because men have our society has put so much pressure on us as men and women. How our dynamics have changed. Like, um, I think, I mean, this is my opinion. Everything that we talk about is our opinion, right? So but women have had to be, we've had to work um, a lot, and we get put in this masculine, um, the masculine side of us. And I know I did not want the masculine side of providing for my family and taking on everything, making sure the house is clean, providing the money, doing all the appointments. Like, if I were to do it over again, I would have worked half the time. But I did not do that. So I take full accountability for that also, for just saying, I got it. Um, and I should have surrendered and said, no, I don't, like, I need my partner. And that's where marriages fail also. And men, to because I know what it feels like to have all that on your shoulder, the responsibility for your family, and saying that it's a lot of pressure on men also, because you have all these people looking at you to provide and protect. And I think it's so important for men to talk about that and how that feels to help each other. So.
Yeah, yeah, and it is. I don't know if it's true or not, and probably every generation has said this to some level, but it is it's tough today. There's a lot asking for our attention, and it's a bit unmanageable and overwhelming, and without some people around me to help me with that, I don't know how else to like move through the things because I've been on that loan. That's another thing comes with substance abuse and that kind of stuff. You do
Mhm.
end up isolating, and then you really, not only do you feel alone, you actually are. Now it's self-imposed for the most part, but that loneliness and not having somebody to call, not having somebody to talk something through. And today, with this group, somebody has some shared experience of whatever I'm dealing with, and vice versa. It's not unusual. This is another thing. It's not unusual in our meetings and around us to have men cry, really cry, and that just don't, uh, and
See
then
it all the
and then
time.
also you see the support that everybody circles up around the person, under whatever condition it is, whether if it's something that produced tears or not. But you see that support happen, and and it's attractive from a standpoint of I want to be supportive, and also I know that when I break out my thing, I will be supported. So uh, get both sides of that. I've had a couple podcast guests. I had somebody not long ago talking about motherhood today and how difficult that is with, being,
Hmm.
wanting to somewhat level be career oriented and wanting your career, but also wanting your family. And those two things are really tough to balance. They're really tough to balance. And, it's really not until just the last few decades, I don't know how many, but not too many in this grand scheme of things, that
Hmm.
we've actually asked women, or I don't know, we ask them, but to do both of those things simultaneously, because there you go back a generation or so, and most of the time, mom's job was to be a mom, you know, and
Absolutely.
now they've got like dual careers, so to speak, that where
Mhm.
they're going to work and trying to be a mother, or being a mother, not trying to actually being a mother. So,
Yeah.
um, and then that those dynamics into the men side of it too, because I don't know that we've done the best job of adjusting to that either, so things I get, everything always changes, right? But it does seem I wouldn't want to be a
Yeah.
kid today. I'm glad my kids are grown. I
Hmm.
wouldn't want to start over. There's a lot of things I'd have done different if I
Yeah.
get a chance to do it again. But you don't, we don't, I don't, well, I don't know. I don't think we get those kinds of do-overs.
No, you know what is so important though to keep that communication with your kids. I've talked to my kids, even when they were in high school and junior high, I said, when you grow up, you see your parents different. At each decade, you see your parents differently. And I said, I know what you're going to say about me, that I worked all the time. And it's something that I have to do right now, and I recognize that. So that's why it was so important that I did devotionals with them at night. And they would be like, oh gosh, mom, here she comes with the deep talking. But those deep talks are really important. But you know what's awesome, Dan, is that we can communicate to our kids like, hey, if I were to do it all over again, I would have done this, just to have that dialogue. But when you're doing the best you can at that time, and it was out of love. So there's been different parts of my life that I've been happy with my parents, I've been upset with them, and then I circle around again, like during COVID, watching people die, and I had 7 personal funerals during that time, and one of them being my grandma. I circled back to my mom and told her that I love her and forgive her, and I understand why and who she was at the times in her different parts of her life. So I know like the kids, of course, going through divorce for them is like death too. Um, and I've had hard talks with my kids because I was going through my own grieving, plus listening to their feelings and then trying to come together. We had some hard moments, um, stronger voices, a little bit of arguing, but it healthy too. And I'm so happy because I have a great relationship with my kids, and it's because it's been almost 3 years, 3.5 years, that I've not been with their father. So, yeah, they have a good relationship with their dad and myself, but it's all learning, and they're growing up, and um, they have their own feelings. But I think it's so important to let them know that they're in charge of their relationships with us and their mom or dad.
Yeah.
And we need to respect that because we want our children to feel loved. I went offside
Okay.
here, but
Yeah. No, there is no
it's just,
offside.
there's just so important for us to talk about this. When our grandparents, a lot of our my grandma she worked a little bit, but mostly a housewife and stay home mom. And that generation now, if you talk to my grandmas, because they would talk to me about it, I was so lucky to know all my grandparents and have a relationship with them. My grandma's like, "You go, girl. I'm so proud of you. I wish it was like the men rules the roost." And so they would talk about that, and they were both my grandmas were proud that we could express our feelings to our husbands and kind of take charge. But I think we've gone way over on the other side too. And we need to find the middle and a balance. And and I think women, this is my opinion, need to realize that if you um love your man and you boost him up, that he wants to take that position, and we need to let our shoulders down a little bit and let them help lead us also. I really feel that. But
Yeah.
and
And I see a lot of, I do consume more content than I would like to, maybe at some level, but it's mostly educational kinds of stuff. And I'm getting that I'm seeing that message a lot this, frankly, and I'll throw the same thing out as you did. My
yeah,
opinion,
yeah,
I think God made us in this certain way that is what is the plan, that
mhm.
they're, you can get some trouble saying it, that, the men should lead. Now they need to lead too. They can't just not.
No,
Uh,
they need to
and
lead. Yeah,
and your wife is, a support thing to support that effort and to work in concert with that. And it ain't easy. But it seems that there's been a gap in between those traditional roles that hasn't been good for us ultimately.
absolutely. I read the Bible as a child from like junior high to college. I finished in college, and I'm reading the Bible again. Like I started at the beginning, And the more I read the Bible, I mean, I can't believe, and I've been going to church since I was a little girl, but I learn so much. Um, and yeah, it's amazing. It's brought me closer to actually want to be more feminine.
Mm,
And knowing that God leads us and gives us faith, and the person I choose to be with will want to lead me and let me feel relaxed. So when I come home, I don't have to make all the decisions, and I feel relaxed to have a partner that I personally want my partner to order food for me. I want him to open the door for me. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. So I'm okay with having a partner to lead.
yeah.
And I wasn't like that before. So I take accountability for that. But I also got put in a situation where I had to protect and provide for my family. So saying that um, I that wasn't healthy on my relationship either.
Yeah. Economically, you
So
just almost have to today almost. I mean, it's not the rule. There are no rules, but
no,
it takes a double income most of the time to operate a home with children.
yeah,
And I remember too, and again, I'll put another caveat out there. This is not a knock. This is not a, but coming home from work was something I didn't want to do. That was walking into a stressful situation, it's much like you said. When I come home, I wanted that to be like a home base, a place where I could come and exhale. And
yeah,
and for whatever reason, we didn't build a home that felt like that. I would rather work late. I would, I escaped to work. At some level, I can see where workaholic is also in me besides alcoholic. And then actually, when I got sober at some level, that actually, that's the problem with sobriety, not the problem, but when you leave that void, it'll get filled up with something else. And plus, like my mind had cleared, so I felt like I was firing on all cylinders. So I felt very productive at work, and that's all I did. I didn't want to come home. It wasn't relaxful. It wasn't someplace welcoming to me. And I'm
yeah. I
sure that
feel
she probably
yeah,
felt the same way.
right. I definitely a workaholic. I was always worried because, like I said, I've had alcoholics on both sides of my family. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want that ever. So, but there is some kind of like I became a workaholic. Um, and maybe part of it was voiding also. I mean, I could see that. When I think back, my kids said that Sundays were really hard in our family, and I'm like, they were. But now when I think back, I'm like, yeah, they were, because the Vikings were on TV losing, which my former spouse got very crabby about. Um, we would do church, and then we'd come home, and I needed to clean. I needed to get prepped for the week. I knew how many hours were going to come into the week. I mean, I could work 80 hours a week. I was an interventional radiology nurse. I was on the pager 24/7, so I could
Mm,
get called in for emergency anytime. And we were short nurses at that time, but it also filled where I could provide for my family. And kids are in sports these days, and not only sports, I mean, they're expensive. Everything is expensive, and everyone, in order for your kid to be good, they have to be in traveling sports. So that takes up time and money. So I always had a reason. And then I wanted to have vacations for my family. But yeah, Sundays should have been a day of rest and peace. And I listened to my kids and they weren't. And that makes me really sad. I didn't want to grow up in a home like that, or how my cousins grew up, just hearing their stories. And my kids did not grow up in an alcoholic home, but they grew up in a different, similar environment. And
yeah.
but now I just show them with hope and love. And I've always been an open mom. We have an open policy at our table. We can talk at the table. There's not one thing my kids cannot bring to me that I won't judge, and I will help them. So
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, Today, my 88-year-old father, my 22-year-old son, and I, we all live together. in one
I
house. So
love
we got these
that.
three generations here, and I like it too. It is working very well. The whole dynamic is working, and I hope at some level, like my son, my dad's I hit the jackpot in the dad department. So uh, hopefully, that I won't. I guess where I'm going with that is like, because I do feel like I fell very short in my father being a father, partly because of the dope and the booze, of course,
Mhm.
but also in other areas, when you kind of end up in this little position where you feel like you're making up for lost ground or whatever, and hopefully you are doing it better today than I think that's the point.
Yeah.
And then also to share with people. I have a lot of friends who have young families, and share my mistakes with them. Not to tell them what to do. That's never what I'm doing, but I
Yeah.
do share my experience as a dude who's been through it. And
Hmm.
hopefully, I do love to watch that. At some point, I was like, I was a little tickled that like I had these, we do this sponsee thing, and I had these sponsees
Yeah.
that were having children, and I was watching these children. They were free, free
Mhm.
spirited little kids. There's well, one of the things I talk about it, and that we say we're spiritually sick in Alcoholics Anonymous and AA and that kind of thing. And
Yeah.
and at first I thought that meant I didn't go to church enough, but I come to feel that my spirit, my very spirit, my soul, my essence had gotten sick, and I think of it as like growing up, my spirit got stepped on. And it squashed that, like left boot prints in it, and those are hard to overcome as you grow. And I'm watching like these little kids. Where I'm going with this is like I see them growing up and their spirit's not getting squashed. They have a level of freedom in their spirit that tickles me. And I sometimes I go, well, yeah, it's all right that I'm helping their dad, but it looks like it's probably maybe those kids is where the actual help is. Thank you, upstairs,
Yes.
because I
Yes.
don't know what's going on. And this is a topic that we talk about a lot too. Is that what looked like the hardest things that I've ever done, or the worst thing could ever happen to me. When I look in the rearview mirror, I see that the purpose of that and why that was happening, and it wasn't. It was actually something good for me. But when you're in the thick of it, it doesn't feel like that. Um,
Yeah. When you already have um stuff happening that doesn't feel good and then it gets piled on, but actually that pile on is something that needed to happen. So because you wouldn't want to keep doing what you're doing.
yeah.
So yeah, when you can look back at that stuff. As our kids get older, I love the saying, be the lighthouse and not the anchor.
Mm,
I love that and I can picture it. So now that my kids are becoming adults, I want to be their lighthouse. I want to be their safe home when they call me, that they're gonna be like, oh, I can breathe. I can tell mom. And I just want to encourage them. And I also tell them, like, there's nothing, like I said before, there's nothing that you will go through that I've probably been there, or if I haven't, we're gonna find a solution. Um, and you're not gonna like it at the time to go through it, but it's so important to make you a better person. And I want to be a lighthouse. If when I leave this earth, if people were to say something about me, I want them to say that Lisa was my lighthouse. So,
yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
it's a funny thing, and I don't know why it sticks in me so much, but some years ago, right before COVID, I went through yoga teacher training, and
Ooh,
I do yoga is a big piece of my life. I do a bunch of yoga, and but I never really taught. But they had a little when the ceremonies for graduating, they kind of like tagged everybody, and I was tagged and given a lighthouse as by
that.
that's the way they yeah, I still have it, a little
Oh,
lighthouse. And it's interesting that you say it. It seems to come up in conversations a lot, with while I'm talking to somebody, and I remember that, and yes, me too. That's kind of what I say about this podcast. These people are carrying light, and I'm just a vessel here doing this podcast, helping them shine that light in corners that
it
maybe they
can be
wouldn't have reached
brighter.
without me. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm so glad you're doing this. There's so many people that need it, not just with alcoholism, but with other things, like we said, even being a workaholic or using drugs, or some kind of addiction, right?
Yeah,
I
everybody's
think,
recovering, kind of, in the general
yeah,
base of it, it gets kind of pigeonholed. When you hear recovery, you think of alcohol or drugs, but we're all in a state of recovery at some level. That's what
hmm,
that recovery, I like this definition. Me and a friend stumbled upon it to reclaim that which was lost or stolen. Kind of like getting your car recovered, that kind of thing. And
yeah,
but what I'm actually recovering is my very self, my actual me, trying to be exactly who God made me be and recover that. And as a result of that spirit getting stepped on, I had lost some of it myself. I lost it, I give it away, so to speak, and some of it was stolen from me. I didn't have any choice in the matter. And to go back and reclaim that, which is me, that's what we're doing. And we actually offer the 12 steps here in the Louisville area for anybody that wants them. Mostly you got
oh,
to be one of the, you have to identify with one of the 100 different categories, and
yeah,
even at some level, and it's not as bad as it was 15 years ago when I first experienced recovery. There was a real divide then about like if you were a drug user, you didn't belong in here. You need to go down the
mhm.
hallway. And and that's loosened up a whole bunch in the past bunch of
That's
years.
so
But
important.
you do that is kind of an ingrained thing in all the 12-step communities. You got to fit in this box in order to use our tools. And we just say come as you are, and we identify as I am one too. Was I
I
am one
love that.
too. I am a struggling human trying to figure out how to be better and operate and navigate this world. And I see those tools, they work for everybody. And a lot of people are carrying tools. When that's another thing that's interesting about this podcast is that when people share their tools with me, I can almost always slide them in. And these tools are pretty basic, and they come from biblical principles
Yeah,
basically.
yes,
Uh,
they do.
and so, but you could also find them in just about any ancient spiritual teaching, any, from things the Buddha said, that this is an
Yeah,
inside job, and life is going to be, it's going to have, I think I always like to change it. It says life is suffering or something like that, but life is going to contain some suffering. It is, just is. And our job is to move through that and learn from it and then go back and help grab the hands of those who's going through it
right.
behind you and help them get through it too.
Forward. You know, like how seasons change, like here in Minnesota. So we literally had thunder and rain, and then I woke up to snow covering where the roads weren't even good. And now today, I think it's supposed to get up to 65, like a matter of 3 days. So your life can change in a matter of 3 days. Um, as a nurse, I always, because of how I grew up and who I grew up with, especially alcoholics. I have two uncles. Their hearts were so big, but when they were in the drinking moment, they weren't so nice. So every encounter that I have in the hospital, if I when and if I have taken care of an alcoholic, I usually sit down at their bedside and I hold their hand and I said, God still believes in you and you can start over. So I always try to bring light to particularly alcoholics. I have a open heart to them
Mhm.
because a lot of people, my uncles, um, went through devastation of war, and one of them had my cousin died and went through war. So, um, like I know the vets that I talked to, and now these young people that are coming in. So I try to be the light, and I show no judgment, and I just sit down and talk real with them, and I pull a chair up, and I'm just like, where are you at in life? Like, are you ready to change? Because God's ready for you when you're ready.
Yeah.
And when they're young, I'm always like, you still have people in your life, and they're rooting for you, and that can change. So be where you're at, and I know like jobs are struggles for people, in self-doubt, and not being able to talk to other people and opening up. And like you said, wanting to be alone. It's so important not to be alone and just find your group, whether it's at church or at AA,
Or
um,
pickleball or the yoga
pickleball. But
studio
the
or
important thing is to get out, right? Like, don't don't go to your gym at home and keep being alone. Actually go to a gym, because the energy that you take from other people that can enlighten you is amazing. You can go out there and you can, like, when you go into a bar, maybe certain bars, you can tell the locals that come all the time or the people that are drinking, you feel their energy and you take that in. So just put yourself out there and be with positive
yeah.
people and good energy, because you're like, oh dang, I want to feel good like that. Um, and it just keeps getting better. So
Yeah, feeling good feels good. And I can, I can do, and then one of the reasons why I went to the primary reason I went to yoga teacher training was, well, there's probably a couple of them. One of them, I was looking for the challenge. It was climbing a mountain. Yoga teacher training was hard. I mean, it was a lot of physical
yep.
hard. We did yoga for so long as stretches that you just like, I can't do it for one more minute. And
Right.
but I did it to strengthen my own personal practice. It was really the bigger thing. So like as
Hmm.
soon as I graduated, COVID hit and all the yoga studios shut down. And again, I kind of like, well, thank you for the timing again, because I did
Yep.
that thing of making my personal practice stronger helped.
Yep.
But where I'm going with this is, I can do it here, but man, it's a different thing to go in there and do it with 30 other people who are sitting there sweating with you.
Oh yeah, it
That
encourages
energy.
you.
And it was a Saturday morning. The owner is doing a particular little sequence thing, and it's what I was taught on, and they've kind of moved away from it a little bit. But it was a 75-minute class, and she was teaching, and there wasn't in the room, it was a full class. And that energy is just contagious, of everybody in there, because it's hot physical power
Yep.
vinyasa yoga where you're moving. It's not just sitting holding poses, which is cool too, and I like to do some of that. But I really
Yes.
like this hot, work hard, feel like it's a workout. When you get done,
I love hot
you
yoga.
collapse on it, and you're like, oh, yeah.
Uh-huh. At the end, when you get to like just surrender, you're like, oh, I made it. But when you say 75 minutes, oh my gosh, Dan, I do 60 minutes in hot yoga and I'm like, oh, I'm so done. I can't imagine doing 75 minutes. But I
Yeah,
also couldn't imagine climbing a mountain for 5 hours back and forth either. So
exactly. Yeah,
there's that.
yeah.
But
That
yeah.
yeah, and I was actually I'd left my mind that it was going to be that Saturday morning class of 75 minutes, and I was seeing the clock turn around, and I'm like, we're running out of time. And then it dawned on me, no, we've got 15 more minutes, or 20 more minutes at that time, and those little mental, I smile because that little mental thing of like I thought I was almost done, and there was
I
almost a
know,
little bit of a
right?
crush when I figured out, oh man, I got more. And then you lean into that and laugh at yourself
Yeah.
at this goofy thing that's trying to derail me at times, wanting me to
But
stop.
man, don't you feel good at the end when you go home and you get to like cool off, take a shower, and you're like, oh my gosh, like the what you do for yourself mentally to keep going through the day, and it gives you your endorphins, as we all know, and it energizes you. And you're like, okay, now what am I going to conquer? And that's what I do every day. I'm like, what can I do for somebody else to get them excited? I've talked on stage before. I've talked about myself growing up, because we all have that little inner child that still sometimes gets cut open and you feel those wounds. But I just show inspiration in how to get through life and get excited. And I'm so excited for my second half, because starting my own business and still doing nursing. I'm hoping to walk away from nursing and not be working there till I'm 70 like other women have, because nursing is physically and mentally challenging. And you take on that energy too. And I'm a charge nurse, so I lead with happiness and excitement and get my team all built up. I meant to do that. So that's what I do when I get on stage and talk to people too, whether it's for business, just in life general, like coming out of the ashes. like what God wants us to do. So
Yeah, that helping people drug is about the best drug I've ever done.
it
When
fills
you
your
get to
heart
help
out.
people and have these play this positive role in the world, and be a light, and that's I move through my day with that in mind. I want everybody I interact with today, I want them to have a good experience and to be raised as a result of bumping into me, rather than even neutral. I don't even want to be neutral. I want that positive ion to be getting spread around. And I had no idea. You'd said something about that's the 12th step, right? Is to help other people. I had no idea what that was going to do for me, and you get like addicted to that too, because now
You
I just want to
do.
help people. And I
Yeah.
know I can too, the positive and that confidence that I know that the tools I'm carrying work. And I can guarantee you that these will help. I can guarantee people that I can help them. Now
Yeah.
the
I
patient
guarantee
has
that
to
also.
comply with the treatment, like you were
Yeah.
saying, that's if they're not ready to get better, then there's no amount of cajoling
No.
or guilt, shame, anger. There's no amount of anything can make that
Yeah.
change. But if they're receptive and ready, I've got tools that I can guarantee you will work. And that is a cool
I
thing.
yes. Affirmation, like getting up, reading your Bible, exercising, taking care of yourself in the morning and really taking that in so you can fill everyone, help fill other people up. And my soul gets energized, just like you say, Dan, when you can even put a smile on someone's face and be kind, whether you're at the grocery store or standing in line, when people are serving you, being kind to them. I mean, we're talking even people serving you at the grocery store and ringing up your tab. Like, um, because everyone is working towards something. So you want to energize them. You don't when someone says my name, I want them to be like, oh, Lisa.
Yeah.
And I want to leave that for them. I don't want to ever be that person that makes someone feel bad.
Yeah.
Um,
And that's a good point,
oh,
because I think about like, there's a thing a lot of times in the 12 steps, there's things over and over again where it says that you have this problem, you're in this spot. And the answer over and over again is to turn your thoughts to somebody you can help. That's the antidote for most of your problems, and
yeah.
just a simple little tool to do that. But you think that it needs, instantly Dan wants to think it needs to be something big, like I'm gonna go, do CPR on a lady down the road or whatever, But no, just
Yeah.
keep my eyes open and be nice to the cashier and be nice to the person in the
Yes.
convenience store and the various things that I run into, the everyday being that, not
Yeah.
not trying to like hit the home run, just move through life where, you know, uh,
Simple.
and it is easy. I wrote a thing at one point about the strongest muscle in your body, and people will talk about whether, some people say it's your tongue, your heart, your whatever, and I think that the strongest muscle in your body is your smile, because you can actually affect people on a regular basis with nothing more than a smile. So exercise that muscle more, because frankly, nobody cares about your biceps.
Right? Exactly. Another thing I try to do at work, like it's automatically if people are like, hey, how are you? And when I say, oh, how are you today? And they're like, okay, and I stop and I'm like, you're okay? What can we do to make that better? Like I'm listening to how they're responding. When everyone comes to work, and this is the people that serve us at the gas station, like I said, at the grocery store, getting coffee, everyone has stuff from home. So, like, if you had a bad day, don't bring your bad day to them. They didn't do anything to you.
Yeah.
So please be kind. Smile, thank you, please. All those like really simple things, even when you're not feeling it, when you say it, you are going to have a positive ion kind of around you buzzing and be like, oh, that felt really good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Sometimes I got to fake it. Frankly.
yeah,
I'm not just wandering around like a happy
yeah,
fool all
like a
the
happy
time.
bubble,
Uh,
like just,
but it
yeah,
works, like even goofy things, like I can smile at myself in the mirror and it will change me a little bit. Sometimes I do. Sometimes when the things are whatever I'm feeling that whatever it is, I will purposely just smile for a little bit, and it's fake, and I know I'm forcing it, but it will actually change me and
Yeah.
kind of bend me around a little bit from when I do that. If I
Yes.
always think of like a boat, when you're out on the lake and you're tooling along at like top speed, and then you just stop and the wake comes up, and sometimes they even wash over the back of the boat. Uh, you
Hmm.
know, uh, that that I think of that as like as somewhat how we're moving through life, and a lot of people have worse than others, and that wake is behind them, and I don't need to be doing anything to make that any worse. My job is to make it better, and at least not do anything that makes it worse. You just that whole
Amen.
thing, you don't know what people are, you have no idea what people are going through at all. So, uh,
And right now in our world, a lot of people, we go through different things. Minnesota's hit the button. We have been through it all. And so I always say it's so important to start at home in your own home. So people are scared. So just show kindness. And if people are out there in their anger and they're showing anger, all I can say is like pray from what you can do to be a better person each day.
yeah.
And
Yep.
can you imagine if everyone did that and we all came out of our
We
homes
need
and
to
acted like
for
that?
sure. Uh,
Yeah. And we need
but
prayers. I'm
I've
praying in
had,
particular.
I've been having trouble doing disconnecting from social media. I've
It's
done a
hard.
good job, and I keep on whittling it away, but I keep on putting Facebook back on my phone, and I'll take it off, and I put it back on, and there was another
Hmm.
one where I'm looking at it, and I'm like, even, and I tried to cultivate that where it's groups that I'm interested in and stuff that I like, woodworking, handyman stuff, yoga.
Hmm.
And I try to do so where I'm getting that kind of content, but doggone if they can't fight in there too, and it's like
I know.
we're supposed to be, we all have a common interest here. We should be, we can have a discussion, but the
Yes.
argumentative nature of it, I'm just going, golly,
No.
and we're getting, that's another thing is that there's too much. We are aware of too much today. I don't know that humans were supposed to receive the amount of
No.
information we do receive and are is laid at our porch or on our doorstep.
It's
It
too much.
it is.
It is way too much because like we said, you've taken that energy we are not to fear, and this makes us fearful. Um, so I don't watch the news either, and unfortunately, because of my business is Instagram and Facebook
Yeah.
and YouTube and all that stuff. So it does trickle in. You know what it all comes down to? Like people tell the truth, have common sense, and do the right thing. Do the right thing. Don't cheat, don't steal, and don't lie. And guess what? It's all in the Ten Commandments. Like
Yep.
if you don't do those things, you don't have to worry about the big wave coming from you behind.
Right.
And
Yep.
you can start over. Like, you know what it is? Each day, wake up and say, I am going to be truthful today. I'm going to be kind today. I will not steal. I will not cheat. Say that every single day. And for some of us, because I don't steal, so I mean, some of it's really easy for some people, but if that's your struggle, I'm rooting for you too. Like, literally wake up and say, today I'm going to make the right choices.
Yep. And and ask for God's help with that.
Yeah,
Help
yes.
me.
Each step you take, if
Yeah.
you feel the anger coming on, say, help me to do better. I'm going to do better. I'm going to make the right choice.
Yeah.
Be
Yeah.
truthful. Even
The
I don't like to talk about this, but even our politicians, like, like, what are you doing? Like, I don't even know what to believe on social media.
in the world in general, right? That is an issue that I'm struggling with. I don't know what the truth is most of the times.
Yeah.
Now, like in a core value kind of thing, I do know
Yes.
what the truth is, and when I'm
Well,
standing and
yeah.
talking to somebody, so that's not what I mean.
Yeah.
But you just can't trust any information you get
No.
anywhere. Like for instance, we just had that whole thing and they talked about this mess and it looked like Mexico was burning to the ground on if you
Right?
know. And I had a guy that's living down there on my podcast, and he's going, "That is not what's happening, man." He said, "This is
Yeah.
just a little thing." He said, "They made it look like this is a big deal." And it is a big deal at some level, but it's not
Yeah.
near what they're conning you into
Yeah.
believing, you know. So then like I got a guy sitting here that is a front row seat to that, and I'll trust
Right?
that, you know.
Yes.
But you just
Exactly.
don't know what, you know, and it can wind you up. It can wrap you up around the axle if you invest your energy into that stuff because frankly most of it's not true.
Yeah. I mean, our news, they need to tell the truth and not embellish things either, because they're not doing anything good for all of us when you're embellishing.
Yeah. And you know, even
So,
I've noticed too, you know, and then we say like in, you know, the little hot word is mainstream media. And
mhm.
some years ago, I turned off the TV. It was a money saving thing more than anything
Yeah.
else. I was on
But
home
it's a mind
incarceration
saving.
for a year,
Oh, yeah.
and I had to come up with some. It's expensive to wear that. It's more expensive than people realize to wear that ankle bracelet, and I needed to find something I could turn off, you know, and I couldn't turn off the car insurance or the gas or the electric or whatever, and I turned off the
Yeah.
TV and I went through some detox with that, and
Yeah.
sometimes I catch myself sounding like I nobly did that. No, it was forced into me, but it was great. It was another thing we say in recovery, God doing for me what I couldn't do for myself. And
Yeah.
uh and I stopped watching that stuff and I felt pretty good about not eating that diet anymore, you know. But I've noticed that like the alternative media is catching up with it, you know. You
Yeah.
watch YouTube and watch this other stuff and these people and it's like this is just as bad. They're catching up with
I
the
know this is why we got to have
falsehoods.
our podcasts and our good talks and like real stuff that matter.
Yeah.
And if everyone could just be in their real self and be kind and truthful and just not get mixed. And I'm grateful for the people that go out and do stuff to fight for that. They're meant to do that. And I
Yeah.
think that's amazing. And what you and I are meant to do is just get to the people that need inspiration, not all the stuff up there, which I'm happy if people do that and want to make a difference. Because I'll tell you, you got to be bold and you got to take a lot. So I give them credit for wanting to make a difference in our world and be
Yep.
into politics.
Yeah.
So,
That's like it's a bit over my pay grade. I think I've got a different
yeah, I
job
don't
to
want
do.
that pay grade.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
So it's and when you are in these smaller groups and you actually are communicating truthfully, you know, there's a lot of fruit in that instead of the other stuff. I just see people get, I know everybody has people in their lives that are just like, I know people who are just totally invested in all that, you know, and you talk
Hmm.
to them and that's all you're going to be able to talk about because all they're wanting to do is there's
Yeah,
something funny about that. Like when you get some kind of weird news, there's a thing in you that wants to share. Like, oh, here's a piece of bad news. Let me share it with you.
I know mine.
It's
We
like,
got to
no,
share good
I don't
news.
want it. I don't want it. I've had to cut some relationships. You know, you're talking about changing the people you
Yeah,
hang around with. I've had to cut some people out of my life over the fact that they weren't able to refrain from putting that stuff on my doorstep when we talk. I was like, you know,
yeah,
if you can't bring something else, I'm
yeah. I
sorry,
can't
you
do it.
know, I can't do it anymore. If this is all you got, you know, and then it's a little heartbreaking there too. And I don't want, you know, there's,
Well, because it makes you sad because you're like, oh, what have I been doing this whole time? Like when you have to break relationships, it's hard. I have a loyalty issue of being loyal.
mm,
So that's been hard for me to break some relationships. But it's okay. You grow. And when you grow, you do end up with some new relationships. I have to tell you an amazing God moment. So I was working with a patient. So sometimes I pick up and then I'll work on the floor with patients. I like to keep up my skills. I had a patient that I knew that needed emergency surgery. I called the surgeon. I said, "You have to come back. She has to go to OR. She has impending doom." So the doctor took her, and before she left, I said, "Can I pray for you?" And she said, "I'm an atheist." I said, can I pray for you anyways? And she said, yes. And this makes me cry every time. I said
Mm.
the Lord's Prayer, and then I talked about how I want God to wrap his arms around the surgeon's hands and the team in the room to heal this woman. The surgeon called me after surgery, which they don't particularly do that. And this doctor's like, Lisa, you did the right thing by calling me back. And I don't think she's going to make it. We're going to have to transfer her to another hospital. Um, but I just want to say you did great work. You knew that she needed to go. Um, she got intubated, went to another hospital, and I wrote her a note and I gave it to the team that was transferring. And I said, this is your nurse, Lisa. Um, the other nurses at the hospital are going to take great care of you, and I want you to call me when you get out. And a week later, I bumped into the doctor, and he's like, Lisa, she's not intubated, and they had to take her for a second surgery, and she's making it. Well, I just talked to him a couple weeks ago, and he's like, Lisa, she's alive, and she
Wow.
is doing amazing. She was not supposed to make it. And he said, you did great work. And I said, God did great work.
Yeah.
You did great work, all of us. And that hope and that miracle showed somebody that didn't have a belief in God, but still took my prayer. And I hope to forever that she um, believes. And the doctor said she talked about you at the appointment. And
Oh, wow.
see, the one impact that we can make, even when people don't believe, if you just ask for permission, you might not believe, but can I believe for you? You can give people hope.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that is my gift that I want to give to other people when coaching them is to give them hope. Our friends and family have strong opinions, and they come with a lot of feelings. So when you come to me, I'm a fresh eyes, fresh ears, and I'm going to be a positive influence on you. I'm not going to let you go down that other way because yes, I want to hear a little bit about your history, but then we're going to move forward. And that's what I'm here to do for people to help them move forward and give them positive affirmations and to help make the right choices. So,
Yeah, that's beautiful. That
yeah,
is. That's just a there's a saying that says there's no atheists in the foxholes. It's interesting that you can, that's it is a little bit shocking sometimes if you do that, and that's the thing that comes back, that they have no connection, or at least they're denying it, but yet it doesn't really matter. That doesn't matter. God don't care.
no,
And you made me think of something that I picked up from somebody. Step two says that we came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity, and we do some stuff about that. And I got this from somebody else, and I'll ask them. I said, do you believe that can happen for you? And I had a guy say, Dan, I just no, actually no, I don't believe it. And I said, okay. And it come to me from the other guy. I said, do you believe that I believe? And he said, you seem to be certain it'll work. And I was like, okay, we'll go on my belief then. That's enough. Uh,
yeah,
that's exactly like your story. It made me think of the same thing that, she didn't have to believe, she was going on your belief.
yeah.
And
And
that's
she's
a
living.
wild thing yeah. And it worked.
And I mean, the doctor's like, Lisa, there's no possible way that she should have made it,
Yeah.
even with the best of my ability. And I believe in God.
Yeah.
And God gives us hope and recovery. And that is my job as all of us as individuals. And Dan, you're doing it like showing others, like you said, believing in them. And that's God working through us to them.
Yeah.
That gives
Well,
people hope. And that
yeah,
fills
I
our
got a little
hearts.
trigger thing of people when people say that I'm working on this, and especially when it's like inner work kind of stuff. Uh, I can't really do that in a sense. Now I can make motions and that, but I need this other power in my life to have that work actually in manifest. That's so. I enlist that power, and no matter what I'm doing, I pray before I
Yeah.
do this podcast. I pray before I go to. I do some handyman work. I pray before I go in there to give me a hand, because I want
Yeah.
to. come in here and it's just become a way of doing things. And it wasn't that way because I didn't grow up that way. I grew up with, there
Mhm.
would have been a period in my life where I would have said the same thing. I'm an atheist. I don't believe in anything. Now, my knowing now that that wasn't actually true, that was some kind of defense mechanism or some kind of whatever,
Mhm.
because I have always had some sort. And that's kind of where you get to that thing where when you're in the foxhole or the car's screeching off the side of the road or if something's happening, it's like everybody goes, "Oh God, help me!" Uh,
Yep.
the even the
So there's
atheists do
something
that,
there.
and
Yeah.
uh, and this and it works, and we see it, and it's interesting that after like all this evidence of millennia of it working, how people can still stand and say it doesn't, that to block that. It's a weird dynamic that we do. And one of the other, I was talking to a friend yesterday, there's cave carvings on opposite sides of the globe from a long time ago that indicate that these civilizations had some idea of some power, like up.
Yes.
There, and those people didn't have cell phones. They weren't talking to each other. They
No,
weren't conning one another into believing something they didn't
no,
believe or any of
from
this.
all over
And
the
that
world.
evidence is all over the world. I just kind of use the opposite side of the globe thing for
Yeah. So
uh,
people
to
understand.
describe it, but that's happening, and I see it in the 12-step rooms, and I see it when I talk to people like you and that story, and it's over and over and over again. And one of my favorite things, the evidence is piled up beyond what I can deny.
Exactly.
I can't deny it. uh,
Yeah.
uh, and at some level, there's some core belief there too that you saying what be kind goes right along with that, and it's interesting that so many resist it.
You know, um, there's people, it's interesting because atheists still talk about God
Yeah.
because they say they don't believe, but why are they talk if you don't believe, why are you even saying the word God?
I think what they're saying most of the time is they don't believe in
Yeah,
your God,
right.
you know. And that was one of the beautiful things about 12-step recovery and something that they've had that I think really opened the doors is that, you can have your own conception of God. Now,
Hmm.
there will be people that will not agree with that approach, but again, the evidence I've seen is there, and it doesn't seem that God cares what you call him, him or her or it. Uh, it doesn't really matter,
He's
and
gonna be there,
and I also understand the Christian viewpoint and what comes along with that, but I also see people who connect with this power greater than themselves in whatever fashion that they do it, and that power works in their lives no matter what they believe. You know,
absolutely.
it's interesting. That's and it opened the door for me to be able to do that because I probably wouldn't have got sober and I probably wouldn't have entered into 12-step recovery because
Oh,
I had the block of religion, in
yeah,
my mind. Uh, some things growing up, I wasn't, my extended family went to church, but we did not. I could, and would go with my grandmas and stuff voluntarily
yeah,
now and again, and my cousins
yeah,
voluntarily now and again, but I was never made to go. Although I did some things, like I grew up in a Catholic world to some extent, and I got my first communion, and I did some things, that would look like that. But when I got to recovery, I had blocked all that off, and if they hadn't have made that door real wide and open for me, I probably wouldn't have walked through it. Uh,
right.
so that deal that made it accessible to me because you weren't trying to tell me what I needed to believe.
Hmm. And what's awesome is I'm a Christian. Yes, I grew up Lutheran, but I'm a Christian. Like I don't need to categorize myself. Um,
That was one of my problems was the boxes. That
yeah,
was one
there,
that I rationalized that it's like we got all these different boxes and they can't all be right.
no,
And I'm
but you
not
know
going to
what's
do the work to figure out which one of y'all are right.
right?
I'll just discount you all and walk away. And and as
But
time's
it's
gone
just like
by, I figured
different
out they're all right.
families. Yeah,
They're actually all right.
they are all right. It's like one big happy family with different, you got your mom's side, your dad's side, it's kind of like religion, right? But what everybody wants love and hope and kindness, and that's why they go to church and to be better people. And that's what just God wants us to do and to spread the world with love and do the
Yeah.
right thing. So
Yeah. Yeah, what there's do you remember that old TV show? I can't remember, maybe on Hee Haw or something like that, that where the
I
guy
do
says,
remember Hee Haw
you doesn't
when I was
have
a
to
little
call
girl.
me Johnson. You doesn't have to call me. There was a guy that had that joke going on, and
Yeah,
I turned that into something too. And it's like, the God that you don't have to call it God. You don't have to call him Jesus. You don't have to call him Buddha. You don't have to call him Allah. You don't just
yeah,
call him. Just call him.
yeah. Just
It
call
don't
him.
matter uh,
Yeah.
what you say. So yeah, it's I think ultimately at some level that's where our society is falling short in the bottom line. We joke
Mhm.
around about like what the best thing about recovery is all the time. Like, this is the best thing. My friends are the best thing. My improved relationships, my job got better, my all that kind of stuff. But when it really comes down to it, the best thing is that I made that connection, and that's what's making everything else happen. That's actually the pinnacle. That's the top of the pyramid, is having that connection with God, with a power greater than me that I can rely on and depend on. And uh,
And then everything comes with that. That's when the love comes in. You can connect with people again and have relationships. Your family can come back together. And I know some alcoholics, that door has shut, but there is still a little bit of a light if you can come back and ask for forgiveness and tell them how you've changed it. It can come back.
yeah,
Because families do have loyalty. Um, so there is hope. And
there's always hope.
love, there's always hope. And most family members want the family to be united and to be okay to be together.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that is amazing. And I'm happy for you, Dan, where you've come in life. I'm proud of you.
Well, thank you. I could say the same
Yes.
back to you. I know we
Oh,
all have
thank
these
you.
walks, and what I just love it when people have made that switch in their life to be other centered more than, again, it's recovery talk. We say we're self-centered, selfish, and all that kind of stuff, and that's been part of this, is become other
Mhm.
centered. So where my focus is on that, and when my focus is on helping you, for some weird reason my stuff goes better. I
Right?
don't when I'm helping other people, I think like God removes certain level of obstacles as I'm focusing there, as a like a reinforcing of, yeah, keep doing that. And yeah, so thank you for shining your light.
Yes.
Have you all started this podcast yet, or is it all just in the
Oh,
making?
we are, I think we're number 48. We've done 48 podcasts.
Great.
Our
Yeah, there's that
healer,
old
our
thing that says most people
protector.
don't do 10.
Yeah, we've done 48. It's called Our Healer, Our Protector. You can get us on YouTube or any of the stations, but if you want to like see us talking, you can also get us on Instagram and Facebook to see our little shorts. And that's called Our Healer, Our Protector. And you can get me at lisasander.com if you would like me to speak at an event, whether it be at church, business, nursing conferences. I also talk about not being stuck in life and starting over at, like, you can start over at 50. So yeah, I bring joy and laughter. I have a little humor to me with that. I can be a very deep talker, a fun one. I'm open book. There's not really a lot that I don't share. So, and I'm happy to have other people share, and I would like to help enlighten you in life. So, and get you started.
Yeah, yeah. We'll keep being that lighthouse,
Thank you. You
and
too.
that is super cool. I got your website up, and I'll put this stuff in the show notes. I turn these things around
Okay.
pretty quickly, so it will come out quick.
Awesome.
It's interesting. I don't know. I'll just say it because it's interesting that Ryan had not mentioned this. But
Yeah.
we talked, and we got that connection in that world too. So we kind of spun off
Oh,
in some other direction. I let these things
Ryan
go
is
where they go.
amazing.
And
Yeah.
we had besides the military career, we have a very parallel life of how things unfolded for both
Yeah.
of us.
Yeah.
It's cool. We made a quick connection. I look forward to potentially
Oh,
connecting with him again.
yes. I love Ryan. Talk about speaker. I'm in awe when he speaks on stage. And he has so much to give. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah,
And us together, we have so much fun and we're exploring life and helping others. So,
yeah, right. That's what it's about.
yeah.
Cool,
Yes.
cool. Well, thank you so much, and
Thank
enjoy the rest of your Monday.
Yes, it
One of my
is a
favorite
Monday.
yoga teachers always finishes with "Have a great day on purpose," and it's a simple little thing, but
I
I
love
love it.
that.
Yeah,
And be kind.
amen.
Okay. Thank you,
All right,
Dan.
thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.